It felt like these scenes denoted community, right, in the scenes within them. But they also were very closely connected to Carrie. And so I wanted you to chat a little bit about, the feeling on the set around doing that work in her absence.
I think for myself, I can only speak for myself, there is sort of this idea that, JJ has talked about ending 9 films, and Carrie was such a big part of all of that. So I think for me personally, there was a lot of wanting to honor this thing and do right by this thing.
Jonas, Chewbacca, why? Love it. Why has he endured? Why do we love him? What are the qualities that endear him to us? You've thought about him more than the rest of us. What is it?
I mean, for that, we have to go back to 1977 or whatever, and when George found Peter Mayhew to play this character that was supposed to be, nobody knew what it was going to be, and it's that thing where you don't know going into these things how it's gonna look. And I think Chewbacca's endurance has to do with the fact that Peter's unique physicality that I sort of inherited and I try to bring on screen. It created this character that moves not quite like a human. It's very unique, the way Chewbacca appears on screen, and the way he's. So that's what created the memorability of that character, and what people, even if they haven't seen Star Wars, they might know what Chewbacca is, right. And that's what I'm a custodian of. And that's what I've taken. And when Peter passed this last year, I was heartbroken. But I like to think that in this film, I attempted to do him justice. And while working with this incredible cast, I'm really happy that we're part of something that's so much bigger than ourselves, but that we still get to play and have fun in. And for that, I'm forever grateful to be a part of this.
Anthony Daniels, the great. Can we give him a round of applause? Immense respect to you, sir. You've been in all of the Star Wars episodes. This is your final walk as C-3PO. It's been a joy to watch you through every film. So thank you for what you've given. It's
Thank
really
you for
fantastic.
saying that, and thanks to everybody who has kind of been fond of 3PO over the years. Some of you will be there.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
More than fond. We love him. Can you just sum up your journey as an actor? You've done something in these films that hasn't been duplicated, that no one else has done. You've touched every one of them. You've worked across all of the worlds, all of the planets, all of the ideas and the stories. I don't know how you'd start to summarize it, but maybe you can try.
Well, I've just realized in the last few months something that I hadn't ever got before. Because I've been in all of them and all the spin-offs and stuff, I am so close to it. And I said it's rather like having your nose up against the planet. You can't see how big that planet is. And gradually now, I'm beginning to get a perspective on it. And that comes from talking to fans, to people who say what Star Wars has meant to them over the years. It's meant something completely different to me. It's a job. It's kind of fun. It's kind of awkward sometimes. As we all know, it's not a smooth ride. But finally, I'm getting to see it almost from the other perspective, and that's the perspective of the audience who've been there all this time. And I'm really glad to have survived all this long enough to get this perspective.
You've got a unique perspective that no one else has.
Right.
Thank you. Richard E. Grant. Your Twitter last night was epic. Your tweet was epic. You were on cloud 9 after seeing this film. I'd just like you to talk a little bit about your reaction to the film for those who did not see. Can you get back to that moment and share with us what you felt?
I thought that Disney would sue me for
You were very emotional.
because I think that you're not supposed to say anything about it, but I didn't tweet any spoilers about it at all. But having seen it first when I was a theatre student when I was 20 years old, and before any of the younger cast were even born, it's an extraordinarily emotional thing to see just the passing of time that goes through all of these movies. And it felt really like a combination of everything that I've read in the Bible, Greek mythology, The Wizard of Oz, all rolled into one in this extraordinary summation of the whole story that delivers an emotional wallop at the end that I was totally unprepared for, and I was wiped out, and I barely slept. So thank you very much for having me.
Mr. Williams, so your career is much bigger than movies for many people, and it is for me. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about Lando and how you approached it as an actor, coming back to a part so many years later. Did you look at the previous films? Did you just, use the script that was in front of you? What was your process as an actor to get back to him?
I have a lot of admiration for this young man called Monsieur J.J. Abrams.
Yes.
And it was pretty much, when I worked with George, that was an opportunity to work with somebody who was really extraordinary. And here again, I have an opportunity to work with somebody who's really extraordinary. Actually, we worked together when he was doing Lost. I played myself playing a killer, which I thought was a very interesting idea. And I thought, this guy is really crazy. But fabulously crazy. But anyway, this has been a great pleasure for me, coming back to do Lando. I didn't think that it would happen. I just wrote it off, and I said, well, I did what I had to do, and that was it. But when I got the call from JJ, and then when we met, I just sat there and I just chuckled, because I thought it was just a wonderful gift.
Yeah.
So I'm a very, very happy human being right now.
One of my favorite actors is up on this dais, and I feel like he can do anything. His name is Oscar Isaac. And Poe feels different in this to me. He's a bit, I think he was always supposed to be a bit of a swashbuckler, but he's like dropped into the swashbuckling thing in this. Like, it's all, you're dripping swashbuckling.
Pants.
Is it the pants?
And the knee-high boots, really. I think it's really Michael Kaplan that really brought the swashbuckling to this one,
What am I seeing that feels different in him from the previous?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of always been a bit of a wild card energy and figuring out where he fits in the story and what story is being told. And I think with this one, JJ and I talked a bit. I remember JJ being excited about kind of dirtying up the squeaky flyboy image that he's had for a bit and just revealing a bit more of his personality. And I think that really comes out because I've been taken away from my little box in space, and I get to join my friends this time, and you really get to see the interaction with the three and the hope that I think that he, in particular, brings in this one. There's a kind of a relentless, almost aggressive optimism that he has, and how that is tested, and how he tries to be there for his friends, tries to push them along even when it seems quite hopeless. And then I think also the way that we approached shooting a lot of these scenes, there was a looseness to it. There was things shot in big, beautiful, choreographed takes that are just astounding to watch, where you'll follow one character walking through this maze of an amazing planet with all these stormtroopers and aliens, and you realize it's all this one amazing continuous take with then us talking over each other. So it was that kind of trust that JJ kind of that allowed, I think, a real spark of vitality.